Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 8th of March. Of course, it is game day. Rangers back in action this evening. Cannot wait for that. I'm Derek Clark, as ever, and I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barrie. How are you doing, Joshua?
Good, Derek. Yeah, always a good day when you've got a nighttime game to look forward to, isn't it? So, yes. Looking forward to discussing it.
Yeah, not had a midweek game for quite a wee while. Yeah. I don't think so. I think, was it Tynecastle the last one? Am I right in thinking, or was there one?
Yes, I think you are. Yeah. We could, if we're wrong, let us know. But I think you might.
Yeah,
be.
Let us know in the comments, folks, if we're wrong. Although we would have loved a European title. Watching the matches last night, I know Chelsea did well to beat Borussia Dortmund. You're just thinking, that was us last year. But hey ho, let's crack on, folks. First of all, a bit of housekeeping as ever. Firstly, a quick word for our sponsors. Seneca Hair Restoration. They are the number one guys to go to if you're looking to revamp the top of your head. If you're perhaps lost a bit of self-confidence up there, then give these guys a call. They are the top dogs in Europe, and I've stuck the links to their social media accounts and their website in the description box as ever. Just a reminder as well that we have that offer on the website just now, just £2 for 2 months worth of content to the Rangers Review. Go and head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. I assure you won't be disappointed, folks. It is absolutely sensational stuff on there. Just £2.99 per month thereafter. So even at that, it's still an absolute bargain. And thank you to each and every one of you who have subscribed already. And if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, as we near 12,000 subscribers, which seems bonkers. But yeah, thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in every morning and subscribing to the channel as well. It is very much appreciated. Right, let's talk Rangers, Joshua. Big game tonight at Easter Road as Rangers head over there. Weirdly, it's of course Michael Beale's first match in charge was against Hibs when he got that win. He's now going to Easter Road. It's historically been quite a feisty affair when Rangers go over there. Just a quick word before we touch on how we think the team is going to line up. What are you expecting tonight when you head over there?
Yeah, that 2-2 game, I know we were saying the Livingston game at the start of the season feels like 3 seasons ago, but so does that game where Lundstrom got sent off. I think it was sandwiched in between the PSV away, was it? Or was it just before that? Or just after? It was around that time.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was around the time we started to think this domestically isn't looking too good for Rangers, even if they probably would have got that result had Lundstrom not been sent off.
It was sandwiched. It was sandwiched in between, because remember Morelos was
yes. Of course. Yeah, there's been a lot made, and even at Michael Beale's press conference yesterday, Derek, about the fact that Hibs might have a go at Rangers. I think Rangers will be happier if Hibs do come and have a go to an extent, because if you look at that game against Hearts a few weeks ago, now obviously that carries a risk if the opposition team are going to come out and attack more. Hibs have been in good form, and Rangers have struggled in both games against them to get 3 points. Obviously, Beale had to come from behind in his first game. The team had to come from behind, in Beale's first game. But with that said, you look at that Hearts game where Rangers created so many opportunities. It was more end-to-end. I think that suited them. They created so many chances on that night. So I don't think they'll... I think they'll be looking forward to the opportunity of a bit more of an end-to-end game, and I think it'll have to be because of where Hibs are form-wise. I think their home crowd will expect them to come out and have a bit of a go as well. Not too many selection calls, I don't think, as we'll get into. Maybe a couple after the weekend, but you'd imagine the team is largely the same. And obviously, this is the first game since Beale's kind of completed the set of 12 matches in the Premiership. It's unique because Rangers are 9 points behind and he inherits a specific situation. But to have 11 wins from 12, Derek, Rangers might not feel the benefits of this just now, obviously, because they are so far behind in the league. But one of the pieces I was writing recently effectively said it's been by no means been a guarantee, Beale's 2 predecessors, to win these games so convincingly. And he spoke about having a recipe to win games in the Premiership before the weekend's game against Kilmarnock, and I think that's proven to be the case so far. So he'll hope that tonight that can materialise again because they've went away to Kilmarnock, Aberdeen, Hearts, and got 3 points. So Beale hope they can obviously add Hibs to that as well.
Yeah, Hibs are in a decent run of form at the moment, folks. Since losing that Scottish Cup Edinburgh derby to Hearts by 3-0 at the tail end of January, they're undefeated. They thumped Aberdeen, of course, 6-0, which was quite something. Jim Goodwin's last match in charge of Aberdeen, of course. Then they had a draw with Ross County. They beat St Mirren away, beat Kilmarnock at home, thumped Livingston 4-1 in the last match as well, heading into this game. So Michael Beale said it himself, Joshua, they're in the best moment of the season. He said he was asked actually if he knew Lee Johnson personally. He says no, but they're both London boys. They certainly like to talk a good game. I do enjoy listening to Lee Johnson, I've got to say. He has a colourful character, but certainly Hibs are going to be a tough nut to crack tonight. They have picked up since that Edinburgh derby defeat, haven't they? And they have some good players in there that can inflict some damage. And as we've seen in Beale's first match, no, Ryan Porteous isn't there anymore, but they do have players that Rangers need to keep an eye on. Yeah,
if you look back to the game against Hearts at Tynecastle, which was, about a month ago, maybe just over that, Rangers had so many opportunities in that night. If you look back to the game against Kilmarnock and Aberdeen, I think there's a consistent theme running through it, and it's something I've been banging on about for ages, but I'm going to keep doing it. Playing with 2 goal scorers. Beale's reference before that people don't regard Sakala as a number 9, but Beale does. He thinks of him as a goal scorer. You see that at the weekends. Sakala, obviously, I think he assists a goal away at Kilmarnock, scores and assists, or no, maybe just assists away at Tynecastle. Scores up at Aberdeen. I think having this extra goal threat in the team alongside the pace that he brings. In the cup final, I thought it was a negative because I thought Sakala had a bad game, and that unreliability that still exists sometimes with his output really harmed Rangers in that day compared to the Old Firm game at the start of January. But in contrast to that, I think it makes such a difference having someone else. I've got a chart here that I'm going to pull up, Derek. Which I think does quite a good job of demonstrating that. It's just the expected goals per 90. All this is doing is showing you the expected goals per 90 throughout the team. Anyone who's played more than 600 minutes. Outside of Morelos and Cholak, if you don't have Sakala in that team and you don't have Arfield, because the majority of Arfield's impacts come from the bench, you really only have Mallet Tillman as a goal threat. You know, Ryan Kent, we know he's not going to score many goals. The likes of Todd Cantwell admittedly haven't played enough minutes to be in this chart, but I don't think he's someone that's going to get you 15 goals a season. I think he's got other strengths. And what that's just showing you is the reason. I think one of the lessons Beale's learned from his predecessors to get an extra goal scorer on the pitch, and that makes these games a lot easier. Going back to away at Dundee United as well, where Sakala is the one that breaks a deadlock and then Tillman gets the second goal. So I'll stick the piece in the comment section that I wrote on that yesterday, but I think I'd be surprised if Sakala isn't in that starting 11 tonight, Derek. I think that Beale playing with 2 goal scorers in these type of games has helped Rangers so far, and Sakala, for his faults, I think his strength is that he gives you that in a variety of different ways. It'd be interesting to see if it's alongside Cholak or Morelos tonight, because obviously Cholak had a really good game, specifically the first half of the weekend, but then Morelos has largely played under Beale, so I think there's a bit of a decision to be made up there.
Yeah, so many comments coming in. First of all, love it when folk tune in from far and wide. Stephen alone gets in touch. Good morning from Vermont, USA. Enjoy waking up early to listen to you guys. Great to have you on board, Stephen. And a number of you watching from far afield, from Morocco, Dubai, no less, just rubbing it in. And a few temperatures being put in the comments as well. -5 somewhere somebody put in, which seems crazy. Not that chilly where I am, which is thankfully, but it's surely going to be a pretty chilly one in Leith tonight. So make sure you wrap up warm, Joshua. Comments coming in here. Denzel showing his age, he says, from the 70s onwards, I remember this fixture being a difficult one. Yeah, historically, it has been one that Rangers have often had to roll the sleeves up to get results at Easter Road down the years, and expect tonight to be no different. Just going slightly left field here, Craig Marshall raises a point. Morning, lads. Any update on Namdi Offabor? Feel for the boy. Interestingly, we've seen him at the Cup final a couple of weeks ago. He was in the stand, but I think I asked Michael Beale this. God, I can't remember when I asked him, a few weeks ago now. And he says it's still one of those ones. It's a delicate situation, I think, where they're still trying to get the bottom of it, and I don't think he's nearing a return to playing action at any time soon, unfortunately, Craig. And yet, like you, I feel for the boy as well. It's a real shame. I touched on before when we launched this website, I actually did a piece on, I spoke to a number of his teammates and they said he was destined to play in the English Premier League. He was that good and Rangers had won a watch with him. So it's really devastating that we've not really seen him. We've not seen him at all in a Rangers jersey, but of course his health comes first and foremost, and we wish him well with regards to that. If regards to the team tonight, Joshua, Hugo Bear says same starting 11 as against Kilmarnock. Now we've put our teams on the website, folks. Go and check it out. We have one slight alteration between our teams, Joshua. You have I think it's the same team actually that started against Kilmarnock for you, but I've opted for John Lundstrom coming in for Ryan Jack. I'm anticipating a lot of comments coming in saying, what are you thinking, Derek? I'm just looking at it thinking, if Jack's 100% fit, then play him. However, I'm just thinking 2 games in a week. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lundstrom come in and partner Nico Raskin in there.
Yeah, 2 games in a week probably comes into it there. I have gone for the same team. Again, to go back to something that I think Beale's done well is not change his approach too much for these away games. I think something Gerrard did quite a lot was bring an extra midfielder in and push it was a Rebo back then, up into the front line quite often, which did work at points. But I think overall, another thing that Beale has implemented quite early on is kind of retaining the offensive nature of his side away from home. It's still a football game. You can still go and dominate the ball if you're the better team. If Raskin and Cantwell, I think they both should be in the team tonight. I guess the one big discussion point is, does Tillman come back into the team if he is fully fit? If he was completely out the squad at the weekend, you could take that as he's not going to be ready for tonight, or you could take it as he's had a good rest and he'll be extra ready for tonight. I think it would be maybe one of Cantwell and Tillman, because Cantwell played in that similar role to him at the weekend, kind of on the right side of midfield and given a bit of flexibility and fluidity in the final thirds. Outside of that, I mean, we'll touch on Ridvan Yilmaz, I'm sure, who came back for the B team yesterday. But I don't think he's going to start tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if he starts the weekends against Wraith Rovers. Don't think there'll be any change to the rest of the back four. It really is only the strike options. Is it going to be Morelos or Cholak? And the midfield option, is it going to be Lundstrom or Jack? But for me, if I had the option, I think it would be Jack and Raskin. I thought they moved the ball quickly, Derek, and they merit it on the basis of their performance, on the basis of the cup final. I think they merit coming in and being the first choice partnership for a while and having that time to build up a relationship in there.
Yes, we'll touch on other intricacies to the team. Lots of comments coming in with regards to who people would start tonight. Before we touch on that, though, William says, is there anywhere to watch the game? I know a lot of comments coming in saying that it's not been shown on Sky. You can watch it on Hibs TV. You can watch it on Rangers TV if you are abroad, folks. So if you have a VPN and you happen to be abroad, then that is your avenue to go down if you want to watch the game tonight. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not shown on Sky this evening. I believe it's because this Champions League match is taking place tonight. I'm not entirely sure on that. However, yeah, it is disappointing because remember, the trip to Tynecastle, and Michael Beale actually did touch on this, saying it was really a shame why it wasn't being shown on the broadcaster. So, yeah, this match not been shown on Sky either. But if you want to watch it, Hibs TV or Rangers TV on a VPN if you are abroad. Right, lots of comments coming. One I wanted to touch on here, Joshua. Well, Ian Campbell says who will be between the sticks? Griggsy not playing great. Al McGregor's going to be in goals tonight. I would be surprised if he's not, Joshua. Although Michael Beale did say, I think a few weeks ago, saying that they're just playing one game a week from now on, so his goalkeeper rotation won't necessarily be a thing. Could you see McLaughlin coming in tonight at all?
I'd be surprised if that. I think that's a debate that's kind of quieting down, so I'd be surprised if Beale starts it up again. Rangers are obviously going to sign a goalkeeper in summer. I don't think anyone I'd be amazed if they didn't. I don't think anyone disputes that. Until then, I think McGregor will be the number one. I don't think he's had any huge errors since Beale came in that have cost a lot of points, to my mind. So I think he'll be in goals. I don't think there's much conversation about that. The big decision, Derek, is Čolak or Morelos. Saturday was actually the first time, I think, aside from the Partick game, and I wasn't there, but watching it back, it wasn't a very good game for large parts of it. It was the first time that we really got to see Čolak in Beale's system with players around him. I think because under Gio, his link-up was quite isolated in, the centre of the pitch. There wasn't players close to him. Obviously, there was wide wingers, so it was a lot more about him having to come in and switch play and do a lot on his own, as opposed to at the weekend where he was bouncing the ball back into midfield or playing passes around the corner. But he was able to link up with his teammates, I thought, pretty well. Going back to the last game away against Hibs, I think it was a game where Čolak was quite quiet, and at the start of the season he was obviously scoring all those goals at Ibrox. I think it's 9 of 11 domestic goals have come at Ibrox in the league. Sorry, the 2 away at Tynecastle are the exception to that rule. And of the 15 goals that Čolak scored, I think it's only 3 have been away from home, obviously including that goal away at PSV to get Rangers into the Champions League. But this is a new opportunity to see him in a new team tonight. Equally, if he was to go and have a bad game tonight and not be that involved, people would obviously say you need to play Morelos. I think it's the reality of where Rangers are, that they've got one striker in Morelos who hasn't been racking up the goals enough in games like the weekend. If you go back to the last Hearts game, Morelos obviously scores those 2 goals and he's brilliant away at Tynecastle, but then doesn't get any against St Johnstone and Ross County. This is the type of game that tends to suit Morelos a bit more. So I don't think it's nailed on that Čolak starts, even if he is probably the one that has the edge for me.
Yeah, I just think that the words that Michael Beale has been uttering, not only at the weekend, but yesterday, well, when was the press conference? Monday. Where he discussed him being in a good place mentally and physically. I just have a feeling, not to mention, I know we shouldn't read too much into players being put up for press, but the fact Čolak was talking about it as well, and he's been working on certain things to become more involved with the team. I think I just fancy Čolak to get the nod tonight, and I really hope he has a good game. I hope he gets a goal. He certainly has that devilment in his eye when he was asked at the press conference about climbing up the goal charts once again, and I do back him to do just that if he gets the opportunities tonight. So, it'll be an interesting one if who Beale goes for this evening. Ross Marshall raises a point. Any possibility of Morelos and Čolak with Kent in the 10? I don't think so myself, Joshua, but listen, he has touched on that. I think Čolak was actually asked about...
even Čolak was tired of that.
Yeah,
Not Ross's point, but it's just funny because Ross is right. I feel like we've been talking about this since really the start of the season. And to Ross's point, from Beale's very first press conference, the game after the first Hibs game, he said he was going to start Morelos and Čolak, and he never has done so. I think the reason for that, going back to the chart that we had up at the start, only Morelos, Čolak, and Sakala have a real high, a forwards expected goal threat in a game. But Sakala gives you a different option, like Roof did, because he can play wide and he can be more of a provider than either Čolak and Morelos, who I think are more central strikers, although they have differences. So I'm surprised we've not seen it at home at any point, because Beale did reference it right at the start. But I think Sakala has just been preferred in these games so far, so there's nothing to suggest, because Beale didn't change it at the weekend after the cup final. I don't think there's much to suggest that he'll rip up that plan now.
Yeah, let's move on. You touched on Ridvan just earlier, Joshua. Yes. Ross Burns raised a point. 45 minutes for Ridvan in the B team yesterday. Wonder if he'll be in the squad tonight. Now, first and foremost, that was a really disappointing result for the B team yesterday, losing 3-1 to Celtic in the Glasgow Cup. It was a pretty strong-looking Rangers side, especially in the defence. They had John Souttar in there. Leon King was a captain, and Adam Devine as well. Ross McCausland netted a consolation for Rangers after going 3-0 behind. But the main takeaway is that Ridvan returned to action, which is fantastic to see. He's been out for so long now. Can you see him making the matchday squad tonight, Joshua? Would that be a surprise for you?
No, because Beale obviously said it could be the case beforehand. I don't think there's much to worry about. I don't think you can read too much into a B team result. Obviously, that two Ridvan and Souttar are both there to build up match fitness. I obviously haven't seen the game. I wasn't there, Derek, so I can't really say too much on it. I think Ridvan will come back in, as Andrew says, on Sunday, and it's going to be great to have him back. One of the pieces that we have on the website this week is looking at Ridvan and Tom Lawrence and Kemar Roof. I know we've spoken about injuries a lot, Derek, but when you actually consider the number of players that Rangers have not been able to play, you really start to see that they have built a strong squad, but they've just not been able to use it. And obviously certain transfers like Suter and Roof come into that because of their injury history. But someone like Ridvan, I think, would have played a lot of football this season. Obviously suffers a hamstring tear. Was it 7 minutes into his kind of first start, second start in the league or third start against Aberdeen, having had to wait so long after his debut against Kilmarnock. And I think he'll give Beale a different option on that left-hand side. I definitely think that he will be Rangers left back going forwards. Whether that starts this season or not remains to be seen. But yeah, he was an exciting player. It just seems like so long ago. Lawrence as well, Derek. I didn't realise, but he actually had, I think it was a goal. He had 4 starts and a goal or an assist in every one of those starts. Some context to that because a couple were late on. But I don't think anyone's going to argue with the notion that he'd have got, some good numbers over the course of the season, and just given Rangers a bit more consistency in that area of the pitch where they've had a lot of injuries. So yeah, they've struggled so much in that regard when you look at the number of players they've missed, but also the quality of players they've missed, and Ridvan and the option that he'd give you at left back. Although Barisic, I think, has been better suited to Beale's football, and we all know about the quality of his final ball.
He's been steady.
I think Ridvan will be the first choice left back going forward, so to have him back will obviously be a real positive.
Yeah, and it raises a point here from Ross, an interesting one. Morning, Ross. Good to see Suter and Ridvan picking up game time yesterday. Can either of you see either of these players realistically breaking into the team this season? All depends on fitness. I think Ridvan's more in line of making an impact than John Suter, Joshua, just based on the fact that Connor Goldson doesn't necessarily miss games, does he? And that's pretty much Suter's position. I know he was injured for a fair amount of time, and John Suter, if he was fit, would have been first reserve, if you like, and would have played the majority of games, but unfortunately he's had his own injury problems to seek. I'm struggling to see where Suter gets an opportunity. I think he'll get a chance against Wraith Rovers, ditto Ridvan at the weekend, but of the two, I think Yilmaz has got more of an opportunity, I think, of coming back in than John Suter, not just this season, but heading into next season as well, perhaps. There's a comment coming in saying he may depart the club. I don't think that'll be the case, but I think Ridvan's get more of a chance than John Suter.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Ridvan obviously was the kind of big signing of the summer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And yeah, again, that conversation we've had so many times, whatever it be down to, is another player that's had a serious injury and not been able to, whether it be, as Beale referenced, the kind of change in style and just all the change that's been at the club in the last year has impacted certain injuries or not. Ridvan's obviously missing out 4 months of, I think it's just over 4 months of action. But he arrived at the club having already played a good number of games for Besiktas. I think already a Turkish international as well. And you saw, I think, in flashes, Derek, what he could bring, more comfortable operating inside the pitch. I think the way I like to think of it is Barisic is the kind of first modern style of fullback who goes high and provides the width and crosses, whereas Ridvan is kind of the next iteration of that, who's more comfortable coming inside the pitch, driving inside, can also play wide and kind of play that Zinchenko role from the touchline where you play passes inside the pitch, which isn't something I think that Barisic does with that much comfort. Can dribble, carry the ball inside as well. So I think he'll definitely be Rangers' first choice left back. It's always just been a question of time. I think even when he was sitting on the bench at the start of the season and Rangers weren't playing well and Gio didn't seem to want to throw him in yet, I think he took some time to settle in. I think everyone agreed that when he was able to play a consistent run of matches, he would stay in there. And then obviously the misfortune of that injury against Aberdeen occurred. But I think he'll play matches in between now and the end of the season. I think Suter obviously is more dependent. At times, maybe you want to have someone like Suter alongside Goldson who can provide a bit of a stronger aerial threat than Ben Davies. But we can obviously have a conversation about Ben Davies another day. I think his distribution, people are starting to see just how valuable that is against teams when you're trying to break them down. He had that pass in behind that Sakala should have squared for Cholak. Yeah. I think with the game at 1-0 at the weekend. But having a bit of options there at centre back as well, Beale really hasn't had much option so far in those 12 league games he's managed. So a positive for him. He's going to have some more until the end of the season.
Yeah, and before we go, there's an interesting. Well, first of all, this point when you mentioned Tom Lawrence, Joshua Allen says Lawrence's goal against PSV seems years ago. Yeah, it doesn't have, does it? I mean, a lot's happened since then. That's for sure. A lot of it forgettable in terms of the European campaign. That's for sure. Yeah. And domestically, Rangers have really had a disappointing campaign. In fact, Michael Beale touched on it in his press conference, saying it has been a season of disappointment, but it's all about changing that narrative from here on in. And certainly, that League Cup final aside, he's certainly making progress in that regard. Just to finish up, William White started a comment here, Joshua. He said, morning guys, I said it yesterday, I think Rangers should try and set up the formation Kelly used at the weekend. What's your feeling towards that, Joshua?
Be surprised. I think that Beale adapts little bits, and I thought was interesting, again, this is on the website if you want to read about it, it was interesting the way Rangers used two forwards on the front line at the weekend, either side of Kilmarnock's back three. I think you see Beale adapt a little bit, but I think it's more so about him trying to impose his style on the opposition. I think tonight you'll see a similar approach to the game at Tynecastle. A Sakala, Kent, and Cholak and Morelos. As this podcast has gone on, Derek, I've started to convince myself it might be Morelos just because of his ability to run in behind a bit more. But we'll wait and see. But I think it'll be a similar game with Rangers trying to have a good goal threat on the pitch and be aggressive away from home. So yeah, looking forward to it. We'll see how we go. It also seems a long time ago that Michael Beale managed that first game against Hibs, and I think there's been a lot of progress since then. So until Rangers can have another shot, I think, at an Old Firm game or another shot at winning a trophy, they just need to continue to rack up the wins, because that's all Beale can do from the position that he's in at the moment.
Yeah, a score prediction then, Joshua. How's it ending tonight? I'm going for a 3-1 Rangers win.
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
have I stole your thunder there?
Yeah, no. I'm gonna say 2-0, Derek, and I'm gonna say that. Who's gonna score?
Oh, we're getting goal scorers, are we?
Let's say I just fancy Fashion Sakala to score tonight. I think in these away games he's suits him because he's got space to work with. So I'm going to say 2-0. Only call him one scorer, but I think Sakala might score. Yeah,
I'd happily take that. As long as Rangers emerge from Leith with all 3 points, I'm sure we'll all be satisfied with that. So just a reminder, folks, Joshua's at the game for us this evening, so we'll have all the usual pre-match build-up and reaction from the game. So stay tuned for that on our YouTube channel and on our social media accounts as well, on Facebook and Twitter, and also the website as well, for all the reaction from Michael Beale, as well as the player ratings and what have you. And just a reminder, if you haven't already subscribed to the website, we've got an offer on just now, £2 for 2 months worth of content. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. It's dead easy. It's an absolute bargain. Only £2.99 per month thereafter. I assure you, you won't be disappointed. Okay, I hope your team won tonight, folks, and we'll be back again tomorrow to review what will hopefully be another win under Michael Beale's tenure. Bye for now.